Welcome back, everybody. We're back on our game, our amazing maze game. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I want to show you a couple things. We're going to work on the heads-up display. We're going to finish that out, and then we'll think about a couple other mechanics we want to add. One of the things you're going to notice is I got all these sprites here. I made a change to the collision mask. I decided to squeeze in the collision here to make it easier to fit between those blocks. And so I set it to manual, rectangle, and it's 4, 26 to 28. Okay, 4, 2, 26, 28, however you want to view it. Those are the numbers. I did it for all of the sprites. Down, left, up. Okay, so they're all set the same way. And I don't know if you've done this or not, but when you run it, one of the things I noticed is that if I was too close to the wall and I tried to move down, it would get stuck. But now he's not stuck there. And just kind of go right through there. And I can get over to the side. And yeah, once I get... So part of this is you just want to make sure that, you can get through the doors. Okay. The other suggestion one of my students mentioned is to make it an ellipse. They say it's slow. This should have the same effect as well. One thing you do have to note is that when you adjust the collision mask, when you're checking for objects, that also might play. But if you notice, I've got a little bit of wiggle room in between here, up, down, left, or right. Looks like he's a little smaller when I go up. You notice that? Anyway, point is, we have a health bar that's dwindling. That's great. We want to show the score. We want to show the lives. And I was thinking about making a little icon for the Explorer for every life the Explorer has. So let's go ahead and get that working. The first thing we want to do is review what we did last time, and that was in the game controller. We had already set P score, P health, P lives for player score, player health, player lives. We gave it a unique value with P underscore so that we would have more than just score, health, and lives. It allows this controller to deal with multiple players. So we could have a P1, P2, P3, P4. We could have a 4-player game if we wanted, and we'd use the code here to do that. So it was in the draw GUI that we were drawing the health bar. And I went over that in great detail in the last controller. I just want to, in the last video, just want to emphasize we're working on the game controller, and we're in draw GUI, and we're taking advantage of those variables I was just showing you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this off to the side, and we're focusing on let you see the draw GUI, but I'm going to drag this out a little bit and make this nice and big. I want you to be able to see all of what we're going to do here. All right, so I'm going to make another little comment, and we're going to do the draw the score. Now, so what we're going to do is it's actually draw text, I believe. Yep, draw text, and you had a couple different versions. There's a text color, which we might want to do. The problem with that is that it has this X, Y, and then it has this string. And here it has a string as well. And so this would draw the text and give it a color. And I don't even know what all of those mean. So you may want to take a look at the draw text color and see if that's something you prefer to do if you want to change the color. The other thing you could do is you could create a font and set the font on the game controller. And so that way the font would determine the color and other things like that. Okay, so I couldn't resist. I went to look at draw text color. Here are all the values you send it. These are what they mean. So we have X and Y. That's the X and Y coordinate of where we're drawing this information. String is whatever we want to draw. And then we have these colors. It kind of goes from, actually, if you look at this box here, first color would be up at the upper left-hand corner. Next color would be upper right-hand corner. Then it would be bottom right and then bottom left. You can actually do some really interesting gradients by changing the colors on there. And the alpha means is can you see through that text or not. If you give an alpha of 1, that means it's opaque and you cannot see anything underneath it. If you gave it 0, it would be an entirely invisible. And let's see what values they. Yeah, so it's probably a real number between 0 and 1. If you want to make it 70% opaque, you'd put 0.7. All right, that being said, let's do this. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go in here, and it's draw text color. Notice, because I loaded this in the United States, I actually have the spelling of color the way we spell it. One thing first, draw the score. We're going to create the text for the score. So we're going to do this. We're going to do var, and we're going to write score text. Score underscore text equals. I'm going to write score colon and put a space there. And I'm going to do a plus sign. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to combine two different strings. A string is a series of characters, right? You put them in double quotes. So these are quotation marks. You put them in there. And we're setting this variable. And this var means it's going to be a local variable. The variable will only exist while it's executing code. When it's done, it will cease to exist. So this is a great way if you want to create something but not have anything else access it. And there's no need to, so let's just do it. So it'd be a throwaway variable, basically. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the p score. But unfortunately, this is a number, and you can't combine a string with the number. You have to convert this number into a string. So we do that by writing string, and then we'll put p score, like so. All right. So what we've done is we've created a variable. We call it score text, and we set it to the word score with the space, and then we're going to place the score right after it. So now we want to set the x and y. Now we already have the health bar at basically where the window is. We're going to add some. We're going to move it underneath. So y plus 32 is the bottom of the health bar. So we're going to do the score below it. We need to put an x. We're going to put it the same location as the health bar. So we're going to keep the x the same. I'm going to put a comma, and then we're only going to do where the y is. We're not going to determine how tall it is. We don't need to. So we're going to put a y plus, and I'm just going to add a 32. We'll try a 64. That might be too much. And then notice if you look down here, what's highlighting here, you got the x is white, the y is white, the string is white. So now we're talking about the string, and that's just score underscore text. Yeah. Did you see what happened? Okay, let me go back a step. See how it says local variable? That's what I meant by throwaway variable. It only exists while we're running this code, and then it will be gone when we're done. Now we're going to add some colors. So now we can do C white. Let's play around with this thing here. We're going to try an aqua, and that's the left-hand side. And let's just go from aqua to some other color to fuchsia. I want to get a nice bright color. And then we're going to add some more colors here. I'm going to do what I've done on my other tutorials. I'm going to hit enter. This always confuses my students. Just understand that this draw text call, this is all one function call. I just did a line return. You can only do line returns after commas. Okay, but this is still part of the draw text color. And then we're going to do the C aqua again, and then a C fuchsia, just to see. And then finally, alpha, we're going to give it an alpha of 1. And then we're going to play around with this in a moment. Let's just see what this looks like so far. Let's also double check to make sure there's no errors. That's an important step. Okay, can you kind of see the color on there? It's a little bit hard to see, but let's move over so we can see it. Oh, crud. Yeah, those skeletons. There we go. See that? Right there. Oh, kind of interesting. Oh, right, because we went... oh, I did it the wrong way. And let's try, instead of fuchsia, let's try white or yellow. Try yellow. And then this will be yellow. And this will be aqua. Because I forgot the way it's working. And let's run it again. Now the yellow will be a little bit more obvious. Until it goes from aqua to yellow. So it gives you kind of, you can do, these are gradients. And I'm not suggesting you add, I'm not suggesting you add gradients. I'm just showing you can. And it's kind of nice to know what options you do have. There you have it. This doesn't change the font size. So if you want to change the font size, you're going to have to do it that way. By adding a font. So let's go ahead and do that because you should know how to do it. It's pretty straightforward. You're just going to right click on font. You're going to create a font, and then we'll call this font underscore HUD because it's the font we're going to use for a HUD. Arial's is such a boring font. I'm so tired of it. It's almost as tiresome as Helvetica. I've seen it enough. Of course, it's better than Blackadder, but you know, hey, Try a Calibria, Candara. We'll try a Candara. And it shows you the size. And we can make it bold. Make it stand out a little more. And let's make it a 14-point font. We've got the font. We're going to go to the game controller. And on create, we're going to set the font. I was going to try it through GML, but you know what? That's okay. We don't have to do everything GML. I can just pop this open and set font. There it is, set font. Let's move it up here. Select font HUD. All right, let's run it now, see what it looks like. You should see a different looking font, different size. Let's mess around with the font a little bit. Let's go so obvious we know we've done it. Run it. Should be a lot bigger now. And if it is, that's working right. Yeah, it is. Color's pretty bad. Interesting though enough, between aqua and yellow, we actually get that lime green that we're looking at there. At least you know how to do that. Okay, so let's go back to the game controller, go back to draw GUI, and now notice we set the font here, we set the colors here. And that's just draw text color. Now we could just do a draw text, and we do draw text, and it just needs an X, a Y, and a string, so you just get rid of all that extra stuff. And that's what it looks like for draw text. And let's see what our text looks like. You won't have the fanciness of there. But that's pretty good. Oh, there we go. Okay. Score is drawn. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a sprite to represent each life. We're going to have to loop. Okay. So we have the P lives. So check this out. We're going to create a temporary bar I, and we're going to do a for loop. For loop is a loop that loops a specific number of times. And the for loop looks something like this. I is our index or counter. We're going to do an I equals 0. Okay. And then we're going to put an I is less than P lives. I'm going to do an I plus plus. Now, it's very common among for loops. You set a variable called I to 0. You loop as long as I is less than a certain number. And then we add 1 to I each time. Now, this I is going to become, I'll just put on here, I will be 0, 1, 2 if there are 3 lives. Okay, the 0 will be what it's the first loop, 1 will be the second loop, 2 will be the third loop, and that's all given there's 3 lives. Okay, so just understand that it progresses through every time we loop. All the looping is happening in between this opening curly bracket and this closing curly bracket. All right, so now what we need to do is we're going to draw Sprite. So we're going to draw Sprite, we're going to choose its sub-image, and we're going to do the X and the Y. And that's really how we need to do it, okay? So we're going to make use of this I as a way of determining where we're going to draw the sprite, okay? Remember, we need to choose the sprite, the sub-image, and the X and the Y. Now, there is no way of changing the size of the sprite. So keep that in mind when you're running this. What you may want to do, and we haven't used up all the sprites, we may want to pick some sprites to be the lives. So I'm going to right click on here and create sprite from images, and we're going to take a look and see what we have available here. I don't think rock to represent a live is a good idea, but if you're following along and you got the same resources we got, there's extra files in here. And what you can do is you can take a look and see what images you might want to use for lives. So as I look at the different sprites, I do see this item life, and we could represent each of that if we wanted to. We could even have a smiley face for each one. I don't see anything else that would really lend itself. So one of the things we could do is we could take just one of the frames of the Explorer and just shrink them. So maybe this Explorer jumping, and we're just going to go ahead and add it, and then we're going to shrink this dude. We're going to click on Edit, and let's just go ahead and chose Edit. So we go to Image, and we're going to resize all frames. And we're going to check this aspect ratio, and we're going to make it, for example, let's make it 16 by 16. Apply. And it'll be much smaller. And we're going to rename this sprite. So I'm just going to go ahead and, oh, yeah. And we're going to call it Sprite Lives. Okay, for now, we're just going to call it that. Sprite Lives. See how tiny it is? There we go. Go back to the game controller. And now it's going to be Sprite Lives right there, comma. Now, sub-image, I'm going to put 0. That's the first of those frames. And now we need to give it an X and a Y. So we're going to have to figure out where we're going to try it. The first health bar is at an X of just an X. It's all on the left-hand side. So we want to put it below the score text. We can do that. We can just type X. And then we're going to have a Y. Now, the Y had a score of Y plus 64. So we need to account for the height of the score. And I don't remember where we set it at, the size of the font. And that's in points, so it doesn't always directly translate to pixels. So what we should probably do is do a Y plus 100 and stop there. Now, we have a little bit of a problem here, and that is we have the X and the Y of 100, but they're like, we're going to loop 3 times for all of the 3 lives, but we're going to put the same sprite in the exact same location every time. So we need a way of spacing them out. So we're going to put an X, and we're going to put a plus, and then we're going to give it a value of an I times some amount. So we had 16. Let's do an I times 32. And so in all of its glory, this is what it looks like. Okay, let's test it, see if it works, and if it does, I'll explain it, and if it doesn't, we'll fix it. Oh, look, little dudes. Here they are. Wow, how neat. All right, are they too small? Maybe. We can make them bigger. Okay, that worked pretty well. That was not bad at all. Let's go over here. What if we just tried, let's try the following. Instead of P lives, we're going to type in Sprite player down. There we go. Oh, I'm going to cut that. Control Z. I meant to do that. There. Let's try that now. Now he's going to be really big. I think he might be the same size. It'd be cool if he was smaller. So there's a way. Sprite P. Something went wrong. Oh, I meant to put P lives. Let's do it again. Oh, you know what? That's pretty decent. Oh, that's okay. I figured it out. The reason why they're so much smaller is that's actual size, but I've zoomed in. Since it's draw GUI, you're seeing them actual size. That is perfect. Except for it's too far to the left, so we're going to move it to the right on the first one. And so I'm going to put X plus 32, X plus 16, half of that. I can't get that working. Plus I times 32. Let's try an I times 34. Add a couple extra pixels in between. And then let's play around with these numbers until we got it just right. And of course, this is going to be up to you how you want to do it. Oh, that's not bad at all. The only thing I would do is maybe move the score up a little higher. And we're going to have to move both of those. I like the distance the score is from the player. Maybe a little bit more, but not quite as much as the distance between the other. So we'll do one last sort of move along. We're going to, instead of 64, That was 32. Let's put 4250. Now let's run that. And so hopefully you can see how these things sort of play out. 50 is not bad at all. If I did 52, then I'm 20 pixels higher up, and that's 52. Y plus 52 plus 72. I think that should be about right. But even if it's not, you get the idea. So I'm going to leave you with the code once we get that working. Yeah, that is definitely not. Oh, I forgot to take into account the height of the font. What did I have before? 100's probably not too bad. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave you with the code. And so you can take a look at the code. You can test it out. Figure out what numbers work best for you. Why have me tell you exactly what to do? It's your game, or at least it will be your game when you're working on it. I want you to see that. Let's just full screen this one and do as follows. Perfect. That is all of the script for execute code on the game controller draw GUI event. All right, I hope this all makes sense, and good luck with your coding. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.